Hi everybody, hope everybody's having a wonderful day. I'm Sway, welcome back to another one of my videos. These videos are basically about, hoping to inspire healing in other people by sharing my personal experience with you guys and my journey to more awareness and just being more conscious and trying to live my best life. So today's topic I wanted to talk about is loneliness, and I feel like this is something that, at one point or another in our lifetimes, almost everybody has experienced, even if you're in a relationship. So I know there's people out there constantly like looking for love, and then there's other people that are just jumping from bad relationship to bad relationship, or somebody who's like married or in a relationship and yet they still feel lonely. I don't know if you guys have ever felt that. Have you ever been laying next to somebody, your partner, and you still feel like so alone even though there's somebody right next to you? And honestly, that is because you're actually not loving yourself. Like, there's no care and there's no love there for you initially. I know I've said this before, but if you don't love yourself and if you're not taking care of yourself, then you're not going to experience love from other people. It just kind of doesn't work that way. Like, you're always going to have like this empty, like, yearning feeling. And then I also see like people on Facebook saying like, I can't find a good girl out there, or there's no good guys in this world. Well, I challenge you to ask yourself, are you a good person? Not like a good person. I think that we're all human beings that are perfect, but just have a different level of knowledge and understanding and trauma and pain that we haven't healed from. But what I mean by that is, are you somebody who is loving? Are you somebody who is trustworthy? Are you somebody who trusts other people? Are you somebody who is full of like self-doubt? Are you somebody who has low self-esteem? If any of you suffer from these issues, when you go and search for a relationship or when you enter a relationship, you are just going to be shown that back to you in your relationship. So a lot of people who have like abusive type relationships are actually like abusive themselves. They might not be abusive to the other person, but they may be abusive to themselves. And what I mean by that, they might have voices in their head saying, you're stupid, you're not good enough, like, you're crazy, or you're not worth it, or you're not worthy of love. These are things that you're telling yourself, and in your relationship, they'll be mimicked back to you. There's a saying that people won't stay in a relationship if somebody is treating them worse than they feel about themselves. So that's usually when something, breaks apart and people like split up. In abusive relationships, what happens a lot of times is that the abuser that's abusing the other person, not themselves, well, they're actually abusing themselves too, but I'm not going to go into that too much. But what happens is that they'll actually say things to their partner, which makes their partner feel even worse about themselves and lowers their self-esteem. And that what creates more of a longer lasting abusive relationship. What I mean by that is they might say things like, oh, you go ahead and leave, but you're never going to find anybody that's, better than me, or, you might be pretty, but your heart, you look ugly on the inside, or just like hurtful words that really attack your self-esteem. And then that lowers your self-esteem, and then that allows them to even abuse you even more. So once somebody starts actually loving themselves and like putting, work into themselves, they'll notice either they'll, break away from that relationship, or the other person might in turn start growing as well, and you guys might grow together. I know I like to share like some personal stories about me along with this process. So I don't know how much my husband is comfortable with me sharing about our relationship, but I know a lot of people on Facebook like see pictures of us, and I even have people put on the bottom like relationship goals and like all these things, and we look like a really good couple in a picture. And I've known him since I was like 17. At 17, I was an insane person. I was a very angry individual. I was very like violent individual to like myself and to even to others. Like I got kicked out of high school for fighting, something that some people might not know about me. So when I got into a relationship with Daniel, he kind of reflected all that back to me. He was like super fun, and like we went and did all these like risky things together, but we weren't very nice to each other, very loving, and I almost felt like I was like his arm candy. Like, the only reason he was with me is because like I had this like Barbie doll type image, and that's all I was good for, is just like arm candy. And so I felt like he didn't really value me as a person. And in turn, like I didn't value myself as a person. Like I, was concentrated a lot on like what I look like, more than what I, was like inside. So a lot of our like beginning relationship was extremely volatile. Some people, even told me, why do you stay with him? All these things. And one of the reasons I stayed with him is because I felt actually worse than what he treated me. Like I really did. I really didn't like myself. And so that's why our relationship was pretty toxic. There's a time when he was like drinking really heavily. And during that period of time, I probably hated myself the most. Like I contemplated like suicide, but then I had children. So I was like, I can't do that to them. That's like super selfish. So at least I knew that. So there's something that, I'll give myself a little bit of credit for. But yeah, I felt really lost and alone. Like we would lay next to each other and I would just turn over and like cry and like just be like devastated because I felt so lonely. And the more emotional I was, the more he like hated that and he like rejected that. Like anytime that I was emotional, he would just like shut down and like shut me out. And now that I've been going through my healing process, I know why. What I can say though is that our lives have dramatically changed in the last couple of years. And how it happened is actually pretty kind of devastating, but I think it had to happen. I really think that everything in life happens for a reason. So we were living in Maricopa. We drove a brand new white 2017 at the time BMW, gorgeous car. But we weren't grateful for anything. We weren't grateful for each other. We weren't grateful for our house. I wasn't even grateful for that car. And so, our house became like really messy and like trashy, and, we weren't paying some of our other bills, and like our trash had got behind. So we had like trash on the side of the house, and, eventually we weren't able to pay our car note anymore, even though we still drove it around for like a year after that. Ugh. Anyways, we eventually lost the house. It went into foreclosure. We had to get out, we had to move. We got tied in with this like trust scheme thing, which I won't even go into about. I got pregnant. I lost the baby, which still a little emotional about that one. So we lost like everything. Like we thought we lost everything. We didn't though. Here's the thing is that I didn't lose what was most important. I didn't lose my family. I didn't lose my other children that I had already. Like, so in our darkest moments, we found gratitude. Like I looked at him, he looked at me, and something changed. Something really, really changed in us. And we made a conscious decision to change our lives and change what we were doing and how we were acting. So we moved. Sorry, guys. So we moved, we went to an apartment. We started to like become more aware of things, aware of like medium manipulation, aware that like things aren't always as they seem, like all these like awakening type things. But we were still really trapped in a negative cycle, especially with each other. I had lost a bunch of weight. I had like dyed my hair. Like I looked, physically, I think I looked really, hot. But I felt dead and like empty inside, and like the only way that I could get through the time was to like focus on my outer looks and focus on my makeup, which that's a gift that was given to me, and I still love makeup. I just have not tested negative for COVID, so I don't want to touch any of it right now. But really, that's the only way that I was able to express myself in a positive way. So again, we ended up having to move out of that apartment. We got kicked out for whatever reason, and we did a lot of transition in that time. Then we thought we had hit rock bottom. We got kicked out of another apartment because of issues with our dog, and that's another story. Anyways, but we were devastated. My husband was devastated. Again, we thought we were like lost everything. We were like in our lowest moments, and again we pulled together and we found gratitude again. Because this is a process. It just doesn't happen overnight. He stopped drinking completely at that point, and he hasn't drank really since then. And so that, really dramatically changed our lives. It changed his life, but my life, I was still kind of reacting to the way that he used to be. And so I was still really emotional. And even though I was a lot more aware and I'd already kind of started my transition to a more spiritual life, I was still fighting with myself on a daily basis in my head all the time, like arguing with myself, like, you know, think positive, think positive. Everybody's like saying, think positive. So I would think positive, and the only thing that would come into my head was more negativity. So for months, I like fought with myself. And then, you know, I started like, you know, doing more shadow work and going online and like looking at resources on like how to help and how to like calm the voices in my head. And honestly, the way that you calm the voices in your head is just by letting them be there. Just letting go and like letting the noise come. Like there's a saying that says, what you resist persists. And that is so true. Once you kind of get rid of like the control part over your emotions and just let them flow, you'll notice that they actually stop and slow down. So, you know, that's definitely what happened for me. So I finally, you know, started getting like, you know, a little bit more emotionally intelligent, I guess you would say, and able to like, you know, cope with like all my emotions. And the more I was calm, like the more that I could talk with Daniel and we could like really start building like a more intimate relationship. And that's when our relationship really changed. And I consider us completely different people than we were even a couple years ago. And I really believe that. So yeah, that's a little bit about my story, but to get back to you guys. So even people in marriages can feel lonely. Other times, like you might see, you know, I see on Facebook, you know, some people talking about, you know, not finding the right one and all these things. There's actually a song that Halsey wrote. It's called "You Should Be Sad." Not sure I agree with the whole message of the song, but she basically calls her boyfriend out and she says, you know, you can't fill the hole inside you with money, drugs, and carbs. Or for women, it might be like shopping, plastic surgery, or, you know, whatever it is that, you know, you might feel like a need that makes you happy in the moment, but doesn't actually fulfill you long term. So some of the things that I would recommend to start on that path is like self-love and self-acceptance. And I know I've talked about that a lot, but guys, this is something that you have to practice. Like for about 38 years of my life, I practiced on how to hate myself and how to judge myself and how to condemn myself and everybody else around me as well. So this isn't something that you can just, you know, take a picture and say, you know, I liked myself all these years, and you put this picture on Facebook. I know you ladies know what I'm talking about. It's like a little challenge, you know, you take a selfie and you put on there that you love yourself now. Well, that is awesome, but that isn't all the work. Like that is just a statement. That's not really going to change your life unless you actually start living that. One of the things that really helped me is my daily rituals and my practices. These might seem kind of trivial, and you might have heard these in other like motivational things, but like getting up in the morning, waking up early, making your bed, practicing yoga and meditation. I cannot stress meditation enough. Some of you might do prayer. You know, I'm not going to judge on which way that you chose to do that, but like really, you know, start loving yourself, start taking care of yourself, eating better foods, exercising, do things that make you appreciate your body and your mind and your soul. And you have to practice that. And I also want to stress that if you get up one day and you don't do any of these things, at the end of the day, you don't want to beat yourself up about it. You don't want to be like, oh my God, you know, I didn't do my exercise today. I'm a horrible person, la la la. Because what that does is that just is going to bring you back even further. And then it's going to be even harder to start the next day. So give yourself a break. We all make mistakes, but the best thing to do is just try your best every day to like really practice these self-love techniques and motivations. You know, go on YouTube, look for resources, read books. Like, I love to read. Stop watching the news. That shit's just bad. But, you know, do stuff that really feeds your soul and your body and your life, and try to make it a practice to do something that you're passionate about, that you care about, that takes care of you every single day. I'm telling you, if you do that, you'll notice a difference in the way you feel, the way when you look at in the mirror. Like, I don't know if any of you have ever done this, but like, there are times where like, you know, like I do all my makeup and stuff, but like if I sit there, I don't want to look at myself in the mirror. Like, it just made me feel so bad and like, disgusted with myself. But you know, I changed that. You know, I look in the mirror now and I see a beautiful being. I see an eternal being that's just having a temporary human experience, guys. We're all here temporarily. You know, this life isn't going to last forever. So you should cherish it. You should be grateful for the people around you. You should be grateful for every breath that you breathe. You should be grateful for you. So I hope that you guys really take something from this message today. And I just love you. And I just, again, want to share my healing process with you in hopes that it inspires you to make a change in your life starting today. Mwah! Bye, guys.